Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to go over what my process was for kind of writing out the speech, coming up with ideas, things like that, and then what you can use and you can kind of follow this process to come up with your own speech for a wedding. So what I did first is listed kind of some of the resources that I've used. I've read some books, and I'll list these in the post as well, but I've read some books and like long form blog posts and things like that on love and marriage and relationships and stuff like that. And I wanted to incorporate that in some of the speech because it's just something that I'm interested in, and I thought it would make for good content. So what I started with my process was I asked myself, what do I want out of the speech? So what kind of outcome do I want? And what I knew is I wanted people to laugh. I wanted it to be funny, right? I wanted people to feel like they got something from it. So I wanted to like not give people advice, but maybe like show them a different perspective on how they view their relationship or marriage or love or something like that. So I wanted people to like get people thinking and things like that. And then I wanted to obviously wish Brooke and Michael the best, and um, you know wish them the best of luck with their marriage and that sort of thing. So uh, after that, where I was clear on my outcome, on the result that I wanted, then I went over what bad speeches include. So like I say in the post, there are I've been to a number of like rehearsal dinners and weddings over the past several years, and I've kind of studied what speeches have worked best and what speeches have just kind of gotten a nice golf clap, and that's about it. And I wrote down what actually like results in a bad speech, what the ones that are the golf clap, the ones that people don't remember and they're kind of unremarkable. Um, so ultimately, it's what I found is kind of individual stories with you and the other person. So like inside stories where nobody else would get. So for an example of this might be this one time we were on this road trip and we got stuck on the side of the road, and they ran out of gas, and it was so funny and we laughed so hard and we were stuck there for 3 hours, and then it started raining and blah blah blah. Like people, that it's almost every time it's like one of these stories that people tell where you had to be there for it to be funny, and that's funny for like three people in the room. That's not funny for anybody else. And some other people might give like courtesy laughs and stuff like that, but they're not like it just doesn't work. And even the people who are there and laughing, sometimes they're like feeling awkward because they understand that like they're the only ones laughing. So that I've found to be really ineffective, actually. The next thing I wanted to do is write down what good speeches are. So pictures, I've noticed like over the years, people who use images and things like that do really well. I put slideshow in here because I haven't seen that in a wedding speech. It's what I ended up doing, but I've seen obviously speeches with slideshows that work really well. Um, and then I put props. That was more of an idea, but I've seen that work well in speeches, TED Talks, things like that. Bringing people up, involving the crowd, works with speeches as well. And then there's this guy named Greg Jones who I know, and he's given probably the 2 or 3 best wedding speeches I've seen. And he makes up stories about people, so they're not like true stories, but he makes up stories that like exaggerate their life. But he's a really good storyteller, so I'm not sure that's great. But I just wanted to write down like ideas for good speeches, and what I've seen work in the past. Um, the next thing I wrote down is like ideas for my actual speech. The key here was not filtering anything out. So I wrote down literally every single idea I had. Just whatever came to mind, I just started typing it. A lot of these ideas ended up being really bad and really stupid, but the point here is not to judge the ideas. The point here is to brainstorm as many as you can. So, like for Seth Godin, this guy who is a writer and marketer and things like that, he says the point when you're creating any creative process, you're trying to come up with as many ideas as possible, and if you come up with enough bad ideas, there will be good ideas. So That was kind of the philosophy I went with here. I tried to just come up with as many ideas as possible. Um, so you can see here, I thought about like saying stories about each person, but using like a gender kind of neutral name, like Pat or something, and saying like this person is tall, this person is short, this person played a sport in college. But I ended up not using this because it just wasn't that funny, at least to me. So, but I still wrote down the idea, and then I have a bunch of other ideas through here. I'll link to the Google Doc in the post so that you can check it out. But tons and tons of ideas. And then I just started writing. This is kind of combined with the idea section, the brainstorming. As I wrote, things just kind of came to fruition. Like things just started coming together, and eventually I came up with this like top 3 reasons Brooke and Michael work and should be together, and that ended up filling in like a lot of the outcomes that I want here at the top. It was gonna make it easy for me to do like good advice. It was gonna make it easy for me to give like good wishes to Brooke and Michael, and then I can just throw in little bits and pieces for laughter. And this is what I ended up coming up with. And I wrote a bunch of stuff down here, referenced some of the resources that I've read and studied and things like that. Um, so the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I didn't actually finish this whole script, so I never ended up writing out the whole thing. And I think that for me at least, that helped. If I had had a whole entire finished script, I think I would have felt pressure to like nail each point and get the script down perfect and exact. But when I went up there, the first thing I actually said was, "Hey, I've been working on this for a few weeks, but I never actually finished it. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but we'll see." And that like people laughed at it. It like took kind of the pressure off, and it also set like low expectations for myself and for the crowd. So that way, if you're setting low expectations, you can kind of knock it out of the park and do really well, I guess. So that's what worked for me. This is my process. I hope it helps. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, definitely reach out and let me know.